My mother didn't raise her voice, she delivered a ruling. You have 48 hours to pack your things. This house belongs to your sister now. No explanation. No conversation. Just a verdict sharp enough to cut through the room. I stood there waiting for some kind of joke, a hint that she wasn't serious. It never came. I didn't fight back. I didn't break down. I just went silent, the kind of silence that unsettles people because it holds too much truth. 2 days later, when Chloe strolled through the doorway like a queen claiming her kingdom, she learned silence can be far more threatening than fury. I grew up in that house. Every creaking board, every sun-bleached photograph, every dent in the banister was stitched into my childhood. To strangers, it was an ordinary family home. To me, it was a maze built from expectations I never agreed to. Most mornings you'd hear the old coffee machine sputtering, the one Dad refused to replace, and smell the lavender cleaner Mom scrubbed into every surface as if she could force order into existence. I was the oldest, which in our family didn't mean leader, it meant default fixer. Since 16, every bill, every confusing notice, every crisis accidentally landed on my lap. Mom called it maturity. Dad called it a sharp mind. What they really meant was, we don't want to deal with this. Give it to Megan. And because I wanted acceptance, I did. Then there was Chloe. Chloe didn't walk through life, she glimmered. Pretty, sparkling, the kind of person people notice without trying. Mom doted on her. Dad bragged about her wellness brand, even though it floated on borrowed cash and borrowed confidence. If I ever mentioned the double standards, Mom gave me that look, the one that accused me of jealousy simply for wanting fairness. Even the house mirrored our roles. Chloe's room was twice mine, freshly painted and redone after a shopping day Mom took her on. My room still wore the same faded blue from middle school. I never complained. Complaining only earned me a dramatic sigh and, why can't you just be happy for your sister? So the house became my anchor. After long workdays, I'd come home, hang my jacket on the same hook I'd used since high school, and let the familiar stillness settle around me. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine, not legally but in the way memories claim things. Which is why Mom's declaration wasn't just about property. She wasn't giving Chloe a building. She was erasing my entire history. But the truth? I should have seen it forming long before that moment. The hints weren't subtle, they were practically neon signs. Mom's comments about future investments. Dad's talk about redistributing responsibilities, which somehow always meant more work for me and less for Chloe. And Chloe herself, filming in rooms she never stepped into before, casually telling her followers, one day this whole place will look different. She said it like a promise. Or a claim. Then came the documents on the dining table. Property tax papers, valuation notes in Mom's handwriting, renovation ideas scribbled with Chloe's dramatic loops. The night I walked in and the three of them fell silent, folding papers too fast, smiling too wide, that was the first real warning. We're just discussing possibilities, Mom said. Possibilities for what? A grown-up discussion. Don't worry about it. Her favorite trick, turning adulthood into a club I wasn't invited to. Even though I handled every adult problem they created. Slowly the house changed around me. Furniture moved without my input. Chloe started talking about opening the space. One afternoon, I walked in to find her recording a wellness video in the living room, outlining big plans for the property. When I asked her about it, she waved me off. Relax, Meg. You're so attached to things. This house has potential. It's Mom and Dad's house, I reminded her. She laughed softly. Is it? Then one morning I found an envelope under my bedroom door. Inside was Chloe's schedule, client sessions, filming blocks, energy retreats. All planned inside our home. At the bottom, in Mom's handwriting, we'll adjust your room soon. Adjust like my life was a piece of furniture they could shove around. That night, I asked Mom why Chloe was planning events in our house. Why she was acting like the owner. Mom didn't look up from her tea. She needs space to grow her business. And I don't. She finally met my eyes. You're stable, Megan. You don't need as much. There it was, the truth they'd been shaping for years. My stability made me disposable. That was the moment something inside me cracked. It wasn't favoritism. It wasn't misunderstanding. It was a plan and I was never part of it. But the breaking point arrived 2 mornings later. I came downstairs expecting the usual. Dishes clattering, lavender cleaner, the old hum of home. Instead, I found all my belongings, clothes, books, childhood photos, packed into boxes by the front door. And Chloe stood nearby with her ring light, recording a video about new beginnings and stepping into your next chapter. As if she hadn't just shoved me out of mine. My next chapter apparently didn't include a place to sleep. Before I could even form a question, Mom walked out of the kitchen. She didn't look startled or ashamed. She looked prepared, rehearsed, like she had practiced this moment until the words felt natural on her tongue. "You have 48 hours to get your stuff out," she said. "The house is your sister's now." It should have shattered me. It should have cracked something open inside. But instead everything went quiet. A quiet so sharp it almost hummed. I didn't shout or defend myself. I didn't remind her of every late night I spent fixing their taxes, drafting their agreements, sorting out their bills. I just looked at the boxes. Then at Chloe's satisfied smile, and something inside me clicked into place. Fine. If they wanted silence, they could have mine. I went upstairs, closed my door, and let the quiet wrap around me like armor. If they wanted me gone so badly, then I wasn't leaving without understanding exactly what they'd done. I opened my laptop. The property records I had helped Dad sort through months earlier were still bookmarked. Back then, he claimed he needed help organizing, but now the pieces lined up too perfectly. Transfers. Notes in Mom's handwriting. Timelines. Documents Chloe should never have had access to. The house was still legally theirs for now. But everything pointed to a transfer they'd been planning long before they told me. Scrolling further, my pulse quickened when I found emails Chloe had drafted. Renovation plans, partnership proposals, filings I recognized from my legal work. She wasn't planning to take over the house. She had already built her future around it. Without me in it. I took screenshots, downloaded files, saved everything in a folder labeled simply, evidence. Nothing illegal yet. But enough cracks to turn into leverage. Enough to expose everything if they pushed any further. For the first time, I didn't feel powerless. That evening, Mom knocked on my door. "You're being dramatic," she said. "This is what's best for the family." Family. The word tasted like rust. I didn't answer. I didn't open the door. Silence, I realized, could cut deeper than rage. And if Chloe wanted the house so badly, she was about to learn something important. Real ownership comes with real consequences. 2 days later, the house felt different. Like the walls had learned to breathe without me. My boxes were gone from the hallway. Mom had stacked them neatly in the garage like trash awaiting pickup. Dad was in the backyard pretending to trim hedges that didn't need trimming. Chloe's car was gone. Probably out filming or balancing her energies somewhere in the city. Everything felt staged. Like a set. And I wasn't part of the cast. But I wasn't preparing to leave. I was preparing to end the performance. That afternoon, I received the confirmation email I'd been waiting for. A simple message verifying my legal consultation and summarizing my rights regarding the home. The wording was cold and clinical, but to me it felt like air filling my lungs. For once, the law I used to protect everyone else was finally protecting me. As the sun dipped behind the rooftops, a car pulled into the driveway. Chloe stepped out in a pastel dress straight from a lifestyle magazine. She held a stack of folders under her arm, walking with the confidence of someone who believes the world exists to applaud her. She opened the front door without noticing me at the far end of the hall. She was too busy speaking into her phone. "Day 1 of the transition," she chirped. "This place is going to be incredible once the new flooring comes in. And wait till you see the meditation loft." She stopped mid-sentence when she saw me. "Oh," she said, lowering her phone. "You're still here." Still here. In my childhood home, the home I held together while she floated through life untouched. I didn't respond. She sighed dramatically. "Look, Meg, I know this is hard, but Mom and Dad are right. I have plans. Real plans. This house has potential your life doesn't require. You don't need it." "I do." She said it casually, carelessly, like she was commenting on the weather. "You think this house is yours?" I said quietly. She lifted her chin. "It is." Mom said. "Mom said," I repeated, cutting her off. "Not the law." Before she could argue, the front door opened. Mom walked in with grocery bags, Dad trailing behind her. Their faces were full of anticipation wrapped in self-righteousness. Backup had arrived. "Mom," Chloe said triumphantly, "can you please explain to Megan that?" But Mom wasn't listening to her. Her eyes were locked on me. "Why are you still here?" she asked flatly. "We told you to move everything out today." I met her stare. "And I told you nothing." Dad stepped forward. "We don't have time for this, Megan. We have appointments. People are expecting access to the house. You need to move your things so Chloe can start." "Start what?" I asked. Chloe exhaled loudly. "My business, Megan. My business. I have investors." My next chapter apparently didn't include a place to sleep. Before I could speak, Mom stepped out of the kitchen. She didn't look startled or guilty. She looked prepared, as if every word had been rehearsed in front of a mirror. "You have 48 hours to get your stuff out," she said. "That house is your sister's now." It should have shattered me. It didn't. Instead, something inside me went quiet. A quiet so absolute it scared even me. I didn't shout. I didn't defend myself. I didn't remind them of the years I spent helping them, fixing their taxes, drafting their agreements, sorting every bill they pretended not to understand. I just stared at the boxes, then at Chloe's satisfied smile, and something clicked into place. No arguments. No explanations. Just silence. I went upstairs, shut my door, and let that silence wrap around me like armor. If they wanted me gone so badly, fine. But I wasn't leaving without understanding how they'd done it. I opened my laptop and pulled up the property files I'd helped Dad organize months earlier. Back then he said he was just confused with paperwork. Now the pieces lined up too perfectly. Transfers. Notes in Mom's handwriting. Signatures dated before any of this supposedly happened. Documents Chloe should never have had access to. The house was still legally theirs, but the trail was clear. They'd been planning to hand it to her long before they told me. And the emails I found next cinched it. Chloe had been drafting proposals, renovation plans, partnership pitches, filings I recognized from my legal work. She wasn't hoping to take the house. She'd already carved out a future that didn't include me at all. I screenshotted everything, downloaded files, saved them into a folder labeled evidence. Nothing illegal yet, but enough cracks to create leverage. Enough truth to expose everything if they pushed harder. For the first time, I didn't feel powerless. That evening, Mom knocked on my door. "You're being dramatic," she said through the wood. "This is what's best for the family." Family. The word tasted bitter. I didn't open the door. I didn't answer. Silence, I realized, could be louder than rage. And if Chloe truly wanted the house, she was about to learn something very important. Ownership comes with consequences she wasn't ready for. 2 days later, the house felt foreign, as if the walls had already learned to breathe without me. My boxes were gone from the hall. Mom had moved them to the garage, neatly stacked like trash waiting for collection. Chloe's car was gone. Dad was outside trimming hedges that didn't need trimming. The whole place felt staged, like they were preparing for a show where I wasn't part of the cast. But I wasn't preparing to leave. I was preparing to end the performance entirely. That afternoon, the email I'd been waiting for finally arrived. A simple confirmation of a legal consultation, and a summary of my rights regarding the home. The wording was clinical, cold even. But to me it felt like oxygen. For once, the law I had used to protect everyone else was protecting me. As the sun slipped behind the rooftops, a car pulled into the driveway. Chloe stepped out wearing a pastel dress straight off a lifestyle magazine. She carried folders under her arm and walked up the steps with the confidence of someone certain the world existed to celebrate her. She didn't notice me standing at the end of the hallway when she opened the door. Too busy talking into her phone. "Day 1 of the transition," she chirped. "This place is going to be stunning after the new flooring. And just wait until you see the meditation loft." She froze when her eyes met mine. "Oh," she said, lowering the phone. "You're still here. Still here. In my childhood home. In the place I kept running while she floated through life as if everything belonged to her." I didn't respond. She rolled her eyes. "Look, Mag, I know this is hard for you, but Mom and Dad are right. I have plans. Real plans. This house has potential your life just doesn't need. You don't need it. I do." The cruelty wasn't in the words. It was in how effortless they were for her. You think this house is yours? I said quietly. She lifted her chin. It is. Mom said. I cut in. Not the law. Before she could respond, the front door opened. Mom walked in with groceries. Dad followed. Both wore matching expressions. Anticipation mixed with self-righteousness. Chloe straightened like reinforcements had arrived. Mom, she said, can you please explain to Megan that this? But Mom wasn't listening to her. Her eyes were locked on me. Why are you still here? She asked, flat and cold. We told you to have everything out today. I held her stare. And I told you nothing. Dad stepped forward. We don't have time for this, Megan. People are expecting access to the house. You need to move your things so Chloe can start. Start what? I asked. Chloe let out an impatient breath. My business, Megan. I have investors.